drivers panicking when the cops show up, rollovers, road rage, and even a BMW driver discovering turn signals. All this and more is in today's episode of Teslacam Stories. Roll 'em!
Wham! Bam! Teslacam! I hope you're satisfied!
Andrew was sitting at a red light. Just out of frame to the right, a cop was running a speed trap to catch drivers coming down the main road too fast. Right then, the driver of a Mazda was coming in hot. Andrew told us the cop clocked the Mazda going 70 miles per hour in the 40 mile per hour zone just before the collision occurred. The driver of the Mazda said she'd been trying to get through the yellow light, but when she saw the cop car, she panicked and slammed on the accelerator instead of the brakes. The police officer came running over to help, but thankfully nobody was injured. Andrew made an insurance claim, but sadly the Mazda driver was uninsured. The local Tesla certified shop had a wait list over a year long. So Andrew had to take his Tesla to a BMW repair shop where fixing it still took 6 months. He said the insurance process was a nightmare when they refused to cover his $12,000 custom suspension and his $5,000 wrap. Not only that, they only paid for a rental for him for 20 days, even though he had to drive it for over 180 days. In the end, the whole ordeal actually cost Andrew money, even though all he'd done wrong was stop at a red light. At first, Andrew was really upset over the situation, especially considering it had happened on his only day off from work that month, and his entire family was visiting from Korea and was in the car when this happened. Now that he's had time to reflect, he's just glad they were all okay. Andy was driving his Model 3 in Homestead, Florida, and was cruising at the speed limit of 65 miles per hour when a Toyota flew past him. But first, now's a good time to make sure YouTube hasn't unsubscribed you. No, seriously, this has actually been happening. If the button says subscribed, you're good to go. Okay, on with the episode. Andy estimates the Toyota driver was going at least 90 miles per hour. Up ahead, traffic in the left lane wasn't moving nearly as fast. When the Toyota driver caught up to it, he reacted way too slowly and lost control before driving into the grass median. He hit the barrier on the other side of the highway before going back down in the median where the car started rolling over. Andy immediately stopped to make sure the driver was okay. He was able to crawl out of his vehicle without a scratch before Andy even reached him. Paramedics responded and were checking the other driver out as Andy left. He later sent the other driver his Teslacam footage. Sadly, his vehicle was a total loss. Kit was driving his Model 3 when he passed a supermarket where a group of guys were hanging around the entrance. As Kit's light turned green, the group of men started moving just as he did. Evidently, their friend had just rejoined them after shopping in the supermarket for some ammunition. The men began dividing up a dozen eggs. I don't know what their plans are, but they can't be good. Little did Kit know, when he stopped at another red light, the group was able to catch up with him. They waited until his light turned green, and then, incoming! Kit heard the sudden bang sound as an egg hit the back of his car, and he thought someone had thrown a rock at him.
Incoming!
When he found a place to park, he got out and explored what had happened. Kit didn't crack up, but he thought it was excellent that it wasn't a rock the guys had scrambled at him and that they'd only been yoking around with eggs. He thought to himself, I'm letting this slide. Way to see things on the sunny side, Kit. Hopefully this video you poached will get these troublemakers some exposure. Lorenzo was driving on a very windy day in El Paso, Texas, when he approached a four-wheel drive truck hauling an unsecured load of lumber. Suddenly, the lumber flew out of the truck bed and struck Lorenzo's Tesla, nearly hitting the motorcycle next to him as well. Lorenzo pulled over and got the driver's insurance information, and he was very apologetic before going back to collect the lumber that was in the road. Lorenzo made a claim with the other driver's insurance provider. Thankfully, he had already admitted fault. He told Lorenzo he does landscaping, and if he ever needs any landscaping done, he should give him a call. Lorenzo told us he probably won't call on him if he doesn't know how to secure his materials. He's thankful nobody was hurt, but fixing the damage to his Tesla cost $3,000. Curtis was driving to work in Las Vegas when he took the airport exit. When he heard a noise to the left, he saw a truck hit the barrier before hitting the save button for his Teslacam. When he got to work, he reviewed the footage and discovered that a black car hadn't slowed down before hitting a white car. The black car then lost control and crossed all the lanes before smashing into the truck and then the barrier. Bored NY dad took his Model 3 long range to a drag strip for some quarter-mile times after purchasing the acceleration boost. He'd completed 6 runs while trying to break 11 seconds. On what would be his final run, a mid-80s Camaro in the right lane on its first run lost control almost immediately after the green light, crossed the center line, hit the wall, and rolled over before stopping in the left lane. When Bored NY dad noticed what was happening, he hit the brakes and was instructed by emergency crews to stay in his car. His first thought was for the other driver's safety, and his second was, I hope that was captured on Teslacam. He filmed it with his phone just in case. Thankfully, the Camaro driver was okay, but that was the only one of Bored NY dad's wishes that was granted. His Teslacam video became corrupted, but he still had the phone recording, which he was able to provide to the race leaders for their collision report. Bored NY dad waited a day or so and contacted the Camaro driver on Facebook to see how he was doing. He gave him a copy of his footage and got his permission to send it to Wham Bam Teslacam. Rebecca was driving her Model Y in Switzerland. She was admiring and commenting on a cool car headed toward her when its hood flew off, barely missing her Model Y. If you know what kind of car that was, comment below for bragging rights. Waylon's mom was taking a sip from her water bottle when she accidentally spilled some on herself. While she was distracted by this, she collided with a sharp metal object in the road, damaging the right side of their Tesla. They got out to survey the damage, and her mom admits it was her fault for not paying better attention. Waylon convinced her dad to send us the video, and she told us she's a Wham Bam Teslacam fangirl. Steve watched a Honda lose control on a wet highway on-ramp before taking down a light pole. Steve noticed the Honda go off the road, but didn't realize it had struck the light pole at first. After all, one doesn't normally have to watch out for falling light poles. When he noticed it slowly coming down, he slammed on the brakes and swerved to avoid hitting it, missing by a foot. Steve verified that the Honda driver was okay, but he was still angry and upset over the situation. Steve pulled over and dragged the light pole out of the road, and he told us it was a lot lighter than he was expecting. Either that or he's secretly the Hulk. We can't say for sure as he didn't send us that footage. This emitter was driving his Model S in Houston, Texas. He was in the passing lane headed south when a white Toyota passed him on the right, followed by a black Toyota. This video might be the best example of instant justice we've ever featured, so remember that this is why you shouldn't road rage. When traffic in the passing lane slowed down, the black Toyota merged to the travel lane and passed the white Toyota. Evidently, the driver of the white Toyota was extremely offended by this and took off after the black Toyota, and this prompted the driver of the black Toyota to drive even faster. I think we need to switch to some classical music for this dance. Now, who could have seen that coming? Our submitter stopped and waited for the police, then showed them this footage when they arrived. I bet the two Toyota drivers weren't very happy about that. Nathan was driving his Model 3 in Fairview, Oregon when he approached a construction zone where a flagger had temporarily stopped traffic. Just as he stopped, the driver of a white Subaru pulled out of a parking lot, then started trying to merge into the stopped traffic. The driver of the pickup ahead of Nathan wasn't having any of that and moved to block the Subaru before both drivers began road raging, even going so far as to ram each other. Nathan kept going so he wouldn't be late for work. He did try to provide his footage to the police, but he told us it was very difficult to get through on the non-emergency line. As a previous victim of road rage himself, Nathan wanted to remind everyone to take a deep breath and give yourself enough time to safely reach your destination. Jake had parked his brand new Model Y, literally only a few days old, outside of a store in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Hold on, what is that truck doing? Well, that's a confirmed hit. The driver of the truck, who displayed excellent parking skills, repositioned his truck, then jumped out to inspect the damage he'd caused to Jake's Tesla. When he realized it wouldn't rub off, he jumped back into his truck and again displayed his incredible parking skills while moving his truck one spot over. After that, he just sat in his truck for a few minutes before taking off. When Jake got back to his car, he found the damage and this Sentry Mode footage, but by then, the truck was long gone. Sadly, Sentry Mode never caught the license plate number, but Jake contacted the police non-emergency line and they sent an officer to take a report. Without the plate number, there isn't much they can do. Jake will probably end up paying to fix the damage out of his own pocket. Oliver was headed for an exit when a BMW driver, who somehow located his car's turn signals, cut him off. Yep, that was the whole headline. BMW driver uses turn signal. Just kidding. This BMW driver might be one of the most reckless drivers we've ever seen. Just watch. The BMW driver passed two cars even though there was oncoming traffic. An oncoming Audi driver had to swerve onto the shoulder and come to a complete stop to give the BMW driver room for his dangerous maneuver. And wouldn't you believe it, he didn't even use his turn signal. I guess it's true what they say. BMW stands for busy making wrecks. This submitter, a new Tesla owner, was headed to pick up some— whoa, that was close. Anyway, he was headed to pick up some Korean food when he noticed a biker with a passenger moving fast. His new Tesla is a Model 3 Performance, so he decided to see if he could keep up with the motorcycle, but he clarified that he was definitely not trying to race. Another driver made a U-turn at just the wrong time and nearly collided with the motorcycle. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, and the submitter told us he safely picked up his Korean food, which was delicious. He also added that he just moved to Reno from California, where a biker would have gotten very aggressive and started punching mirrors in this situation. He said that in Reno, nobody really cares. In this video, mistakes were made. I mean, seriously, who thinks lifting a pickup like that is a good idea? Venkatesh was driving down the highway from Calgary to Edmonton when he found a motorcyclist waving for help. Without hesitating, he pulled over and started backing up to see what was wrong. Apparently, the biker had run out of gas, and when he tried to get his spare gas can out, the bike fell over and he couldn't lift it back up. He was relieved when Venkatesh rushed to help him. He managed to put enough gas in his bike to get to the next gas station, but Venkatesh followed him as it started raining, just in case. Venkatesh told us he loves Calgary and he's glad he could help out a fellow community member. What a wholesome story to end on. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll be showing a crazy story in which even Tesla can't figure out who's at fault. You'll definitely want to chime in.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.